Hey, it's Stephen McAlpine here. I want to share a few things with you as leaders in how you can prepare your churches for what is being described as the returning tide of faith. Or the quiet revival, as it's been called in the United Kingdom at the moment, where there seems to be a trickle, might be growing to a little bit more of a tributary, might become a tide, might even become a tsunami, who knows, by God's grace, of people returning to the church, but not returning so much as coming for the first time. What we're seeing in our culture at the moment are people, especially young people, who have no framework whatsoever, who are quite chaotic in their lives, and who are coming to churches looking for structure. They might have done some spiritual searches in the past. They've probably read Jordan Peterson, many of them, and they're realizing that there's something that the church offers that they haven't been able to articulate, but can see that they need. But the first thing here is that there is a lot of chaos. People aren't coming to our churches sorted out, tidied up, and just ready to accept what we're hearing. There is a lot of philosophical chaos. So churches need to be ready to listen very carefully to where people are coming from in their lives and figure out, how do we reach these people? What is the entry point for the gospel in their lives? And kind of help them clear the clutter and the chaos in their lives. The thing is, though, about philosophical chaos, it generally leads to practical chaos as well in people's lives. What our churches are going to have to be ready for, and which we will have to prepare our people for, is that those coming to us are not sort of tidied up, Christianized non Christians. When I was younger, it seemed that many of my friends were not Christian in a kind of Christian way. That's not true anymore. People are coming to us with quite confronting issues. They've gone down spiritual searches that are quite dark. They're trying to cobble together a way and a framework of life that's very much you do you, at the same time that they're looking for something structured in their lives. Many of them are coming with relational breakdown, with psychological breakdown. There's a lot of anxiety in the culture and a lot of bad habits, lots of addictions. Are our churches ready for those sorts of people? One of the things we can do is have a bit of an information night about where we are culturally and what we might expect if people come. That they aren't Christian they aren't non-Christian rather, in the same way that our friends perhaps were non-Christian when we were younger. Of course, that means that we have to have a clear understanding of the gospel as well. The gospel did not come into easy, tidy situations. If you read the book of Acts, it came into places where there was idolatry, where there's superstition, where there's brutality, sexual immorality, all those sorts of things. It would be really good for us to have a clear grasp of how the gospel came into its mission field, because in some senses, the world of the 21st century has some parallels to the world of the first century. Now, I want to suggest a book to you that I think's worth having a look at: The World Next Door, A Short Guide to the Christian Faith by Rory Shiner and Peter Orr. It's a great read if you're thinking about how to help people through the chaos of life and into a framework of Christianity. It does, as Peter and Rory say, give you mere Christianity. It takes the Apostles' Creed, acknowledging it that it's an old document that Christians have believed for years, and that's important in the chaos. Many people are looking for something that's older than them, or at least older than the latest influential ideas of the last 20 or 30 years, and certainly older than the latest Instagram influencer. But this book is a really good book for going through the Apostles' Creed, but it doesn't start there. It starts with ordering the universe through the story of Jesus casting out the demons from Legion and into the pigs. It starts with literally a ghost story, as Rory puts it at the start of the book. What's he doing there? Well, he's wanting to say that if you are going to have people come in with all sorts of spiritual ideas, one of the chaotic things they have is how the world and the universe is put together. And the Bible's understanding of how the world is put together and the way to understand the Christian faith is that there's a three tier way of looking at reality. There's a heaven above and a hell below, so to speak, and an earth in the middle. And things sometimes leak between those things. That's the story of Legion meeting Jesus and the demons being cast out. So before anyone gets a really good understanding of the Apostles' Creed, Peter and Rory are saying, get the framework for how the world is put together. And that's part of us dealing with the chaos. It might be helpful in your church to have a few weeks going through not just what we believe as Christians, but informing your congregation about what people out there might believe. But it's also worth, if you're a leader, listening to your people who might be working out there in the law firm or in the company office that has a very divergent bunch of people working for it. So I think it's worth thinking about those sorts of things as we go forward, that there's going to be chaos, which means you're going to have to prepare your people for lives that look a little bit more shocking, perhaps, in outworking relationships and people's identity, the gender issues. All those things might end up on our church doorsteps, that kind of chaos. Are we ready for it? That's a question we've got to ask, and I think it's worth working at to ask the hard questions. Do we understand the chaos that's coming our way? Have we got a gospel framework and a good gospel order to show them? But are we willing first to sit with them in some of the chaos and listen to what's really going on? I think we could do some groundwork there. So that's chaos.